This is the Weekly Roundup on EAC News Channel. We look back at the past week in the Kingdom of Wonder. A very good evening to you. I'm Anthony Ellis. The King of Cambodia, His Majesty King Norodom Sihamoni, has designated Phnom Tamao as the protected zoological park, forest and botanical garden in order to ensure the stability and the conservation of the wildlife area, including the rescue, treatment of rehabilitation of the forest, dissemination of the education, research and tourism services. EAC News reporter Darshana Guchin has more details.
In the royal decree signed 19 August 2022, King Norodom Sihamoni ordered the Ministry of Agriculture, Forestry and Fisheries to manage the Phnom Tamao Zoological Park and Botanical Garden to protect the wildlife area and develop it sustainably. In the royal decree, the king also ordered for Phnom Tamao to be rehabilitated with luxury wood species of high economic value to develop the area as a natural tourist destination for the national culture and history. Efforts to conserve, treat and rehabilitate the area include the creation of green cover to enhance the beauty of the region and promote the conservation of genetic resources, plants, and wildlife for sustainable development of natural resources. The Phnom Tamao Protected Zoological Park and Botanical Garden has a total area of 2,025 hectares in Bati District, Takeo Province, and is divided into 3 areas. The protected forest area for wildlife rehabilitation with an area of 1,021 hectares, the luxury trees and botanical garden with an area of 530 hectares, and Phnom Tamao Zoological Park, where wildlife care, treatment and education promotion and tourism services will take place, with an area of 474 hectares. Darshana Guchin, EAC News.
The King of Cambodia, His Majesty King Norodom Sihamoni, together with His Majesty the Queen Mother of Cambodia, departed to China on Sunday to undergo a routine medical checkup in China. The special aircraft carrying the King and the Queen Mother left Phnom Penh International Airport around 8:45 a.m. on Sunday morning. In a royal message dated the 16th of August, King Norodom Sihamoni stated that he and the Queen Mother would be absent from the motherland from the 21st of August onwards. During his absence, Senate President Say Chung will be acting head of state until his return to Cambodia. The King and the Queen Mother routinely fly to China for medical checkups. This is the second time this year that the King and the Queen Mother have departed to Beijing for their health checkup, the last time being in March. The President of the 76th United Nations General Assembly, Abdullah Shahid, has said that Cambodia is a model country for other countries should follow as it has transformed itself to a state in need of the UN peacemakers, to the nation that is sending its own volunteers to keep world of peace. EAC News reporter Darshana Guchin has more details.
Addressing the President of the National Assembly of Cambodia, Heng Samrin, during a meeting on Monday morning, the UNGA President Abdullah Shahid praised Cambodia for its history of struggle along with the dedication of the National Assembly President to liberate the country from genocide, allowing the country to achieve the level of development present today. He recalled how Cambodia has transformed itself from a country in need of peacekeepers to a country that now sends its own peacekeepers to help maintain peace in other parts of the world. The UNGA President said, "Cambodia is a model country that other countries should follow because Cambodia became a country with a UN peacekeeping force in 1993, but now Cambodia has sent its own volunteer forces in the framework of the United Nations to carry out humanitarian missions to maintain peace in many countries around the world." National Assembly President Heng Samrin thanked the UN for its support and cooperation in the development of Cambodia, especially the provision of COVID-19 vaccines, technical equipment, and medical equipment that contribute to the success of the country's fight against COVID-19. He underlined that the development of Cambodia today is thanks to the support of the UN. He said, "The second establishment of the Kingdom of Cambodia was with the active support of the United Nations, which enabled Cambodia to actively participate with international partners in both the executive and legislative frameworks and in achieving global agendas, including the 2030 Global Development Agenda." In the early 1990s, under the Paris Peace Agreement in Cambodia, the United Nations sent peacekeepers to help Cambodia. The National Assembly president further emphasized that from 2006 until now, Cambodia has joined the United Nations cause for world peace and humanity by sending peacekeeping forces, including more than 8,000 people, to 11 missions in 9 different countries. This active and valuable participation ranks Cambodia 28th out of 122 countries in peacekeeping operations. Darshana Gochan, EAC News.
The President of the 76th United Nations General Assembly, Abdullah Shahid, has stated the intention to strengthen trade relations between the Maldives and Cambodia, with the suggestion that Cambodia could become a source of food supply to South Asian nation. EAC News reporter Darshana Gochan has more.
Speaking at a meeting with Prime Minister Hun Sen at the Peace Palace on Monday morning, the UNGA President Abdullah Shahid, who is also the Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Maldives, confirmed to Prime Minister Hun Sen that he will work with the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Cambodia to encourage Maldivian investors to examine trade potential with Cambodia to boost economic cooperation between the two countries. Prime Minister Hun Sen said he supported this idea and informed the UNGA president of the benefits of investing in Cambodia, especially in the agricultural sector. The Prime Minister's assistant, Ieng Sopalek, gave a press briefing to reporters after the meeting and quoted the Prime Minister as saying, "The favor in investing, especially investing in agriculture, includes the installation of rice mills, investment in rice warehouses, and the collection of rice from farmers to grind and for export to other countries." The Republic of Maldives is an independent state in the middle of the Indian Ocean with an area of 297.8 square kilometers and a population of over 540,000 people. According to UN Comtrade, trade relations between Cambodia and the Maldives in 2020 amounted to more than $5,000, down from more than $40,000 in 2016. Darshana Gochan, EAC News.
Prime Minister Hun Sen has urged Vietnam to further strengthen economic ties with Cambodia to promote political ties between the two countries. Addressing Mr. Ly Hao Trang, member of Central Committee of the Communist Party of Vietnam and Chairman of Foreign Affairs Committee of the Communist Party of Vietnam at the Peace Palace in Phnom Penh on Monday morning, the Prime Minister relayed his thanks to Vietnam for continually supporting Cambodia. However, he noted that economic relations support political relations, and in this regard the Prime Minister urged Vietnam to further strengthen economic ties between the two countries, especially by transforming the area of the former battlefield along the border into the zone of peace, development and cooperation. Ly Hao Trang informed Prime Minister Hun Sen that this current visit to Cambodia is to enhance the relationship and unity between the party, state and the people of the two countries. During the meeting, Prime Minister Hun Sen also congratulated Vietnam on its successful in fighting COVID-19. Cambodia and Vietnam established diplomatic relations 55 years ago in 1967. Relations between the two countries were enhanced following Cambodia's liberation from the Khmer Rouge regime, growing into a cooperative and multi-beneficial relationship between the two governments, who regarded each other as friends, relatives and good neighbours. The Socialist Republic of Vietnam ranks first among the ASEAN countries in terms of direct investments made in Cambodia, with the trade between the two countries exceeding $9 billion in 2021. The chairman of the board of the Samdech Techo Young Volunteers Doctors Association, Lieutenant General Hun Manet, has stated that the activities in the association do not replace the mechanisms put in place by the royal government, but to rather contribute to the government's efforts to provide health services to the people. EAC News reporter Darshana Gochan has further details.
Speaking at the inauguration ceremony to welcome new members to the Samdech Techo Young Volunteer Doctors Association on Sunday, 21st August, Lieutenant General Hun Manet stated that the association is a mechanism to open the door and provide opportunities for members to participate in humanitarian activities without discrimination across the country in collaboration with a wide range of partners. He stressed that the association's activities do not replace the mechanisms established by the royal government, but only contribute to the provision of health services to the people, with direct encouragement from the head of the royal government. He said, "As a national policy and a generous concept of Samdech Techo, Samdech always encourages NGOs and associations to contribute to helping people in all possible ways, including in the health sector, which is a priority area." As of 2022, the Samdek Tekcho Young Volunteer Doctors Association is 10 years old and has more than 8,000 members carrying out humanitarian activities across Cambodia. These activities have resulted in almost 350,000 people receiving medical treatment, of which more than 6,000 were critically ill patients transferred to Phnom Penh. Additionally, 58 of these patients have had successful operations. The association is sponsored by Prime Minister Hun Sen and First Lady Bun Rani Hun Sen. Darshana Gauchan, EAC News.
You're watching EAC News. Thanks for joining us. Prime Minister Hun Sen met with the outgoing British ambassador to Cambodia, Tina Redshaw, at the Peace Palace on Monday afternoon, as she nears the end of her mission and soon bid farewell to the kingdom. EAC News reporter Darshana Gauchan has the story.
Prime Minister Hun Sen thanked the outgoing British ambassador Tina Redshaw for her work in Cambodia, which has contributed to Cambodia and the United Kingdom building good relations. He also expressed his desire to have a school from the United Kingdom open in Cambodia. During the farewell meeting, Ambassador Tina Redshaw thanked the royal government of Cambodia for the success of her work as the British ambassador to Cambodia. Through Cambodia's economic momentum and leadership, she said she is confident that Cambodia will be successful in achieving sustainable development. Prime Minister Hun Sen said that the relations between Cambodia and the United Kingdom had improved during Ambassador Redshaw's tenure. In particular, he observed the trend that many Cambodian students went to study in the United Kingdom, so he encouraged the United Kingdom to open a university or school in Cambodia in the future. Tina Redshaw became the first female British ambassador to Cambodia in July 2018. She has been described as a passionate advocate for gender equality and someone who believes in enabling girls and young women to grow up with self-esteem and the power to shape the world around them. Darshana Gauchan, EAC News.
Prime Minister Hun Sen has predicted that the opposition comes into power, a civil war will break out into Cambodia, along with wars between Cambodia and neighbouring countries. He said this would happen because of two factors: a policy of confiscating property from the rich to give to the poor, and the declaration of getting back to the country's lost land. EAC News reporter Darshana Gauchan has more.
Speaking at the graduation ceremony for students at the Asia Euro University on Tuesday morning, Prime Minister Hun Sen stated that the policy of the opposition is dangerous for the nation and its people.
ឥឡូវអ្នកឯងប្រកាសបន្តទៅពេលខាងមុខអ្នកឯងប្រកួតប្រជែងលើកម្មវិធីនយោបាយទៅអ្នកឯងដាក់ចេញគោលនយោបាយវាយវៀតណាមដើម្បីយកដីអ្នកឯងដាក់ចេញបើអ្នកឯងចិត្តសឿដាក់ចេញមកខ្ញុំមិនចាំបាច់បញ្យល់អីថែមទេព្រោះខ្ញុំបានបញ្យល់5ម៉ោងនៅក្នុងសភារួចហើយ
The Prime Minister stated that the territorial dispute between Cambodia and Vietnam has increased since the French colonial period, when France ceded Kampuchea Krom territory including Koh Tral or Phu Quoc Island to Vietnam, unrelated to the responsibilities of the current Cambodian government. He added that if the land were easy to take back, King Norodom Sihanouk would have already done so when he came back in power.
ភាពជួលនិយមនិងអគតិរបស់ពួកគេនេះហួសពីការគិត
Vietnam ranks 28th in the world in terms of military powers. The country also has a history of winning wars against the French and the United States of America. France ceded Kampuchea Krom, or the former French Cochin China, of 21 provinces to Vietnam through a law on 4th June 1949. The Cambodia-Vietnam border issue, however, still remains a problem to this day. Cambodia and Vietnam have currently demarcated about 84% of its land border, while the remaining 16% is still under negotiation. Cambodia shares a land border with Vietnam that is about 1,270 kilometers long. Prime Minister Hun Sen addressed the National Assembly on 9th August 2012, spending more than 5 hours explaining the Cambodia-Vietnam border issue, which dates back to the French colonial era, when there were no border posts at the time and only administrative borders. He stressed that the protection of sovereignty and territorial integrity is the first and most foremost duty and obligation of the royal government, and also the right and duty of every Cambodian citizen.
World Vision held a workshop on Friday 19th with 7 other organisations to help improving fish farming in rural areas. Aquaculture in Cambodia plays an important role in contributing to improvement of the daily livelihood of rural farming community. Fish is the most important source of animal protein in Cambodia's daily diet, with an annual capita of 41 kilos representing 70% of Cambodia's intake of animal protein. In order to achieve the goal of supply of the nation's future fishery requirements through agriculture, the Cambodian Fisheries Administration published a strategic planning framework for fisheries. Within this framework, the scenarios for future fish demand supply 2019 suggest that agriculture production will increase by 20% per year to 185,000 tonnes per year, benefiting 240,000 farmers directly. However, aquaculture development in Cambodia is in its early development stage compared to other countries in the region. It has incurred some problems and consists of which one of those in lacking capital, credit and agriculture investment. The purpose of the workshop is to describe various methods of linking insurance with credit or inputs are being proposed, identify the critical features of each method, and discuss the advantages of the elimination in these arranged method farmers, financial service providers and insurers, and setting a SEC with government policies. Attendees will understand the current ecosystem and build a roadmap in order to develop agriculture, insurance, environment more effective and collaborate with private and public sectors and work towards the benefit of smallholder farmers' resiliency. Attendees for the workshop included government officials from the Ministry of Agriculture, Forestry and Fisheries Administration, insurance industries, MFIs, as well as relevant key private sector players, NGOs and developmental sectors. Syngenta, Foundation for Sustainability Agriculture, mainly focuses on productivity and inclusion of smallholder farmers in remunerative value chains through the extending science base on how creating awareness, building capacity and implementation of agriculture insurance programs and migrate production and price risks, who will work closely with Fort Insurance Cambodia and the farmers. Commercialization of agriculture and sustainable trade, also known as CAST, is a US Department of Agriculture, Food and Process funded project to accelerate production of high-demand fish species for the Cambodian market and develop a lasting agriculture industry. CAST will work closely with the farmers to make sure they have the right training and understanding of farming.
If it's happening and you need to know about it, you'll get it all right here. EAC News brings you updates and breaking news in English across all of our platforms and channels. The EAC News app, YouTube, Facebook, Telegram, Twitter, and our website www.eacnews.asia. Join me and the rest of the EAC News team every day on your favorite channels. EAC News, Cambodia made clear.
Prime Minister Hun Sen made a post on his social media page on Monday night directed at analysts saying that their knowledge is still limited, but they still try to speak to the public. EAC News reporter Darshana Guchin has the story.
Prime Minister Hun Sen posted a message on his official Facebook page saying that visiting senior officials from other countries can be welcomed and greeted by the president or the prime minister of the host country. The prime minister's post was made in response to a number of analysts who spoke of the recent visit of the deputy commander-in-chief of the Royal Cambodian Armed Forces, Lieutenant General Hun Manet, to Vietnam, and how he was received by the Vietnamese president and other high-ranking Vietnamese officials. Prime Minister Hun Sen stated that Lieutenant General Hun Manet has been received by not only the President of Vietnam, but also the Prime Minister of Singapore and Japan during his official visits. He added that in other countries he has been greeted by the Ministers of Defense or Deputy Prime Ministers. He wrote, "As a counterpart of the army commanders in various countries, as usual, there is a protocol for there to always be a ceremony when visiting other countries, also when they come to visit our country." According to the Prime Minister, these cases are not a problem, and what matters is the opinions expressed by analysts. While speaking at the graduation ceremony for students at the Asia Euro University on Tuesday morning, Prime Minister Hun Sen expressed regret that the analysts did not remark on Lieutenant General Hun Manet's visit to Japan in early 2022, because the level of reception he received, as well as the number of meetings he had, were all large and of a high level.
ពួកនេះឲ្យតែប៉ះជាមួយវៀតណាមគឺថាដឹងតែររឿងបងអញ្ចឹងបានគេថាសង្គ្រាមនៅកម្ពុជាជាបំផុតទេបើសិនគណៈបកប្រជាជនមិនគ្រប់គ្រងអំណាចគឺសង្គ្រាមនឹងផ្ទុះខ្ញុំហ៊ាននិយាយចឹង
Prime Minister Hun Sen also further explained international relations protocol to the analysts, saying that they should study these matters carefully before speaking. He added, "If you do not understand the work and make analyses arbitrarily, you cannot call yourself an analyst. You can only create distractions and incitement and make me feel cautious with you." Prime Minister Hun Sen first took office as the Foreign Minister of Cambodia in 1979 at the age of 27. He became Prime Minister in 1985 and has held the position until the present date, making him one of the longest-serving Prime Ministers in the world. Darshana Gauchan, EAC News.
The Director of International Liaison Department of the Chinese Communist Party, Li Xiaozhou, has promised to boost imports of Cambodian agricultural products to China, promoting direct flights between the two countries and promoting green development in Cambodia. EAC News reporter Darshana Guchin has more.
Speaking at a meeting with the president of the Cambodian People's Party, Prime Minister Hun Sen, at the CPP headquarters on Wednesday, Liu Jianchao provided his evaluation of the progress Cambodia has made under the leadership of the CPP. He said that the country's growth is a demonstration of its economic potential, and in this regard, he informed the CPP president that he will push to make the Cambodian economy stronger by increasing economic ties and imports of Cambodian agricultural products to China, increasing flights between the two countries, and the development of Cambodia's green economy. In response, Prime Minister Hun Sen thanked Liu Jianchao for his assessment and urged China to increase economic ties with Cambodia as he had suggested. The Prime Minister's assistant, Ieng Sopalet, spoke to reporters after the meeting and said that Prime Minister Hun Sen had agreed with Liu Jianchao that economic development is the need of the people, and the Prime Minister also thanked and welcomed the expansion of cooperation between the two countries, especially in the areas of trade, agriculture, investment, tourism, and green economy. Darshana Gauchan, EAC News.
The Cambodian Red Cross visited made its 9th humanitarian donation to children with intellectual diabetes, children with diabetes, orphans and staffs the National Bouret for infants and the children on Tuesday. EAC News reporter Darshana Guchin has the story.
Representative of the Cambodian Red Cross President and First Deputy Secretary General of the Cambodian Red Cross, Man Neri Sopiek, led a delegation to visit and distribute gifts at the National Bouret for infants and children. She said that this is the 9th time that the Cambodian Red Cross has made a donation to this organization, and added that the Red Cross will continue to give as promised under the instruction of President Bun Rani Hun Sen. She said, Besides the equipment and food provided by the Ministry of Social Affairs, the present donors do their part in giving encouragement to staff who come to work at the National Bureau for Infants and Children, as well as to the children. The president of the National Bureau for Infants and Children, Tho Po, representing 245 staff and children, thanked the president of the Cambodian Red Cross for always showing compassion and giving hope and warmth to the children living at the center, as well as to the most vulnerable people and victims of various afflictions. 2 foreign volunteers also expressed their interest and love for the country and people of Cambodia, especially regarding contributions made toward the care of children in the center. They expressed their deep gratitude to the Cambodian Red Cross for donating to the National Bureau for Infants and Children. The donation from the Cambodian Red Cross includes 2 tons of rice, 20 more essential ingredients, and 10 million real, which is about $2,500. Separately, 83 teachers also received 50,000 real and a bag. The Cambodian Red Cross regularly provides aid to many humanitarian centers in Cambodia. In 2022, following Red Cross Day on 8th May, the Cambodian Red Cross donated $1 million to Kantha Children's Hospital, the 11th donation from the organization, and $50,000 to Angkor Hospital for Children in Siem Reap Province, the 4th donation from the organization. Recently, the Cambodian Red Cross also donated $2 million to the Mine Authority to join the national movement for zero mines in 2025. The Cambodian Red Cross is also ready to participate in preparing for and responding to natural disasters such as floods, hurricanes, house fires, and so on. Darshana Goshen, EAC News.
The new Turkish ambassador to Cambodia, Orka Kokafe, has said that in order to fulfill the agreement that Cambodia and Turkey signed in the past, the Turkish embassy will establish a trade office in Cambodia. EAC News reporter Darshana Goshen has more.
In a meeting with the Prime Minister of Cambodia on Thursday morning, Ambassador Kochefe stated that she is committed to strengthening and expanding relations between Cambodia and Turkey, growing further on the trade agreements that have already been signed. The assistant to the Prime Minister, Ieng Sopalet, told reporters after the meeting that the Office of Commerce will be set up to promote bilateral cooperation in both the regional and global frameworks. The Turkish ambassador stressed that Cambodia and Turkey have a lot of potential to work together. Prime Minister Hun Sen agreed with the ambassador and welcomed the establishment of a commercial office at the Turkish embassy. We hope that the Office of Commerce will study and understand cooperation in the fields of economy, trade, and investment, which are the foundations of cooperation in other fields, said Ieng Sopalet, quoting the Prime Minister. Diplomatic relations between Cambodia and Turkey were established in 1947. However, it was not until 2013 that Turkey officially established its embassy in Phnom Penh. After the Khmer Rouge, Cambodia re-established relations with Turkey in 1994, and in 2022, Cambodia inaugurated its official embassy in the Turkish capital Ankara. Darshana Goshen, EAC News.
The chairman of the Royal Government Spokesperson Unit, Pai Sapan, has compared opposition leader Sam Ramsey to a dead horse that cannot be ridden and that no one cares about. He made this remark in response to a question from EAC News reporter regarding Sam Ramsey's announcement to return to Cambodia. Answering a question from EAC News at the Council of Ministers, spokesperson Pai Sipan said, "We do not bet on a dead horse. What we see is obvious. We see both nationally and internationally they do not care about him." On 19th of August, prosecutor Sang Heng issued a summons to Sam Ramsey and 7 other former senior CNRP officials to report to the courtroom on the 15th of September 2022 at 8:30 p.m. to answer to the accusation that they are planning to commit conspiracy in 2020 and in the subsequent years under the Article 453 of the Penal Code. On the 23rd of August, Sam Ramsey wrote on his Facebook page that he would return to Phnom Penh for the court summons, but asked Prime Minister Hun Sen to lift the 3 bans that are placed on him, including allowing airline companies to permit him to travel to the country, opening a Thai border for him to enter the country and allowing Cambodian people to support him to go out and freely express their support. Spokesman Pai Sapan said he considers Sam Ramsey's post to be an example of information politics. where he asked the Prime Minister to respond only for the return of his own reputation.
សេនឹងគេចង់ឲ្យសម្ដេចនឹងឆ្លើយតបដូច្នេះវាគ្មានផលប្រយោជន៍អីទេដូចយើងនិយាយថាសេះវាងាប់ហើយគេយើងបណ្ដែលវាយសេះងាប់នឹងឲ្យគេចាប់អារម្មណ៍ទេ
Sam Rainsy had previously planned to return to Cambodia on 9th of November 2019. However, his plans were thwarted by the royal government of suspicion that he planned to overthrow the government in his return, through which means inciting an uprising among armed forces and officials, inciting the people to revolt against the state and raising funds to support these illegal activities. A spokesman for the Ministry of Justice, Chin Malin, wrote on his Facebook page in 2021 saying, "These acts are activities and are clear to see and strong, and some of them are easy to trace because Sam Rainsy and his accomplices use Facebook and other social networks to post proactive messages and subvert their malicious actions plan. It was a plan to put nearly 60 people in jail with their arrest warrants, which the Phnom Penh Municipal Court announced on the 14th of June 2022. The Secretary of State for Ministry of Water Resources and Meteorology has said that Cambodia's current irrigation systems can cover close to 2 million hectares of agricultural land, equivalent to more than 61% of total agricultural land area. However, he said it's unable to confirm whether the expansion of the irrigation system will be able to meet 100% of the people's needs. EAC News reporter Darshana Guchin has further details.
Speaking at a press conference on the 5-year progress of the Ministry of Water Resources and Meteorology on Thursday morning, Secretary of State Bun Hien said that the inability of current irrigation systems to cover all agricultural land is due to rapid expansion. When asked if irrigation systems in Cambodia could soon be able to completely cover all agricultural land, he said, "The answer is no. As the director of the Pursat Provincial Department has already said, if the plan is to expand irrigation systems to 10,000 hectares, the agricultural area will also increase by 115,000 hectares by the time we achieve the 10,000. So no matter how much we set our goal, it is not possible." Another measure to ensure sustainable water supply for the people and promote national economic growth mentioned at the press conference was through the better management of water resources during floods by continuing to develop water reservoirs in key locations to prevent flooding and provide greater water distribution during the dry season. So far, the Ministry of Water Resources states that it has implemented about 25% of the set plan, while more than 75% depends on investment. In 2021, agriculture contributed to about 24.4% of Cambodia's GDP. In the same year, Cambodia harvested a total of more than 12.21 million tons of rice on 3.55 million hectares of cultivated land. Darshana Gauchan, EAC News.
The Ministry of Economy has announced that it will issue the first public security bonds amounting to a total of $300 million and which will start selling from September 2022 onwards. In a press release issued the 16th of August 2022, the Ministry of Economic stated the government bonds are worth 1 million real or $250 per bond, with a repayment period of 1 year, 3 years and 5 years. According to the Ministry of Economy, state-owned investors will also receive tax incentives along with incentives to the banking sector. The government bond is a debt security issued by the government to support state spending, and obligation government bonds can be paid in periodic interest payments called coupon payments. Government bonds issued by the national governments are often considered low-risk investments since the issuing government backs them. According to the draft financial law of 2022, the Cambodian government planned to issue the first government bond in 2022 to raise funds to support public investment projects aimed at boosting economic growth and productivity.
If it's happening and you need to know about it, you'll get it all right here. EAC News brings you updates and breaking news in English across all of our platforms and channels. The EAC News app, YouTube, Facebook, Telegram, Twitter, and our website www.eacnews.asia. Join me and the rest of the EAC News team every day on your favorite channels. EAC News, Cambodia made clear.
Prime Minister Hun Sen has asked for help to identifying the source and information behind 4 photos related to Cambodia's history of peace. EAC News reporter Darshana Guchin has more.
In a post made on his official Facebook page on Friday morning, the Prime Minister shared 4 photos of himself and wrote that he thinks these photos were taken at the same time due to his clothes and name badge on his suit. However, he said he is unclear about where and when these pictures were taken. He suspects the photos were taken during a meeting in one of 5 different countries. The first place he suspects is in Indonesia, either during the Jakarta informal meeting in 1988 to 1989 or the preparation of the SNC in 1991. The second is the first Paris conference in France in 1989. The third is the SNC establishment meeting in Tokyo, Japan in 1990. The fourth is the SNC meeting in Bangkok or Pattaya, Thailand in 1991. And the fifth is the SNC meeting in Beijing, China in 1991. The Prime Minister appealed to the public to help him find the source and information behind the 4 photos. He wrote, "I would like to call on those who know the source of this photo to help, because those photos are related to the history of seeking peace for Cambodia." Prime Minister Hun Sen was one of the 4 parties that took part in negotiating peace for Cambodia in 1991. Despite these peace talks, the country did not see complete peace until the launch of the Win-Win policy in 1998, which helped end the Khmer Rouge movement and has kept Cambodia peaceful until the present day. Win-Win politics re-established Cambodia as a peaceful united nation following more than 500 years of tumultuous history. Darshana Gochan, EAC News.
The Cambodian Red Cross made its 3rd donation to Les Restaurants des Enfants to support orphans, children in poor families, children living with HIV, and 280 scavengers at the Victory Primary School in Bong Keng Kong, Phnom Penh on Thursday. The Deputy Secretary-General of Cambodian Red Cross, Mern Nare Sopek, expressed her pleasure in seeing the organisation's attention to vulnerable children. She stated that the Cambodian Red Cross will continue to support and assist the vulnerable. She said, "We already know that the Cambodian Red Cross always receives donations from donors on World Red Cross and Red Crescent Day on May 8th. Since we received this money, we have active in helping the most vulnerable people and children that Les Restaurants des Enfants supports can be called the most vulnerable." The president of Les Restaurants des Enfants, Noor Chev, thanked the Cambodian Red Cross for taking care of the vulnerable children's well-being by continuing to support the organisation funding and food supply. He stated that the purpose of this organisation is to help poor children get through to eat, avoid diseases and get education and avoid drugs. He further added, "In fact, many young people who have taken refuge under the roof of the children's kitchen have gone to college, gotten decent jobs, and some have even volunteered to help younger generations at the organisation." This is the 3rd donation made the Cambodian Red Cross. Les Restaurants des Enfants received 3 tons of rice, many other essential foods, items and supplies, and monetary donation of 10 million riel, about $2,500. Separately, the Cambodian Red Cross sub-branch Bong Keng Kong district also donated 100 kilos of rice, 10 cases of noodles and 10 cases of drinking water. Golden Gate American School Phnom Penh Tamay campus finally gets to have their grand opening after 2 years of officially open due to COVID-19. Under Secretary of State, Minister of Education, Youth and Sport, Chia Chit attended the ceremony. During to COVID-19, Golden Gate had opened their campus but was not able to have their grand opening until the 25th of October. The ceremony started off with traditional dancing from the students of the school. Then the chairwoman, Heng Soketia, gave an opening speech. She thanked all attendees, students, their parents, teachers and all parties involved in helping of the setting up the campus, and the Prime Minister Hun Sen, followed by a speech by the Under Secretary of State, Chia Chia. Golden Gate American School was founded in 1996, where they offered kindergarten instructions in English, Thai, Japanese, Chinese, computer skills and a variety of short courses like marketing, general administration, general management and accounting. In 2009 to 2010, the school began offering Khmer, English and Chinese curriculums for the higher grades. Efforts from the academic students and teachers with strong educational backgrounds and the curriculum's alignment with the Ministry of Education, Youth and Sports curriculum. Students will earn 2 certificates, one from the Department of Education, Youth and Sport and the other from a school in the United States. The National High School Diploma provided by the Ministry of Education, Youth and Sports and the Grade 12 certificate issued by Golden Gate American School are comparable. 20 students competed in the 12th grade in the Khmer during the academic of 2020 and 2021 and one of them earned an A grade. 39 students competed in the Copernicus Olympiad, an international contest for general science, physics, astronomy and knowledge, in the Texas, USA in January 2022. As a result, our students took home a total of 36 medals, including 7 gold, 10 silver and 19 bronze. In a 10-eagle competition, the school organised a team of 39 students with 15 girls to compete in London on July 2022. The students were awarded 3 gold, 7 silver, 5 bronze, 20 honorary medals and 2 certificates. EAC News interviewed John Turman, marketing manager. He spoke about the curriculum and how proud they were with the students who attended 10 Eagle.
Well, we have 3 language programs available here. We have a Chinese program, a Khmer program, and an English program. And in our English program, we have an American curriculum that covers all the standard subjects that are covered in an American school. This is a full American curriculum. We cover all the subjects like math, science. We have a brand new science lab in our new campus here. We cover art. We have a brilliant art program. We have music classes available as well, humanities. Oh, it's fantastic. We love to see our students get to travel and compete, and they do a great job. And they did a fantastic job, and we were really excited about it.
John Turman was also excited they will announce that they will be opening a new campus with a 5-hectare land located on Samdek Techchol, Hun Sen Boulevard.
Well, they announced that was another exciting thing that happened today. They announced the opening of a brand new campus.
The school also formed the Golden Gate Foundation to raise money for the purchase of study materials that would then donate to the students and schools in rural areas that were in need. July 2021-22, the school supplied study materials for 4 schools with combined enrolment of 818 students. Thanks for watching the Weekly Roundup here on EAC News Channel. More from EAC News on Monday. I'll see you then.